Right after that a learning experience, to put it
Yeah.
mildly, a fiasco, maybe another way to put it.
Yeah.
I took 6 months. I took 6 months to just reflect, to just try to understand what just happened,
Mm-hmm.
and I did come to the realization that not really courting those potential acquirers, not creating those strategic partnerships, is what did us in. And so I kind of took that thesis and joined another startup called webs.com,
Mm-hmm.
which was really at the stage where Jaxter was, but they had figured out how to get to cash flow break even. They had
Mm-hmm.
raised a modest amount of money, about $10 million or so. Not astronomic valuations either. That's because they were based out of East Coast. They were in Silver Spring, Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
and they hadn't really done any strategic partnerships, mostly because they were under the radar for Silicon Valley. No one really had heard of them, even though they were one of the biggest, if not the biggest, website creation platforms. There were 30 million websites that were created on
Wow.
webs.com. They had a
Yep.
freemium model, so but enough of them converted to paid that got them to cash flow break even. Um, and they needed to break out. They needed to figure out: do we go raise more money? Do we go sell ourselves? If so, to whom? So I joined as head of strategy and corp dev, and in the first 6 months, I kind of orchestrated an offsite, took the management team out, and we spent a weekend at Chesapeake Bay and kind of really brainstormed on what would success really look like for this company,
Mm-hmm.
and who would be our dream acquirers.
Oh.
Why would we consider them to be uh, uh, attractive to us, and why would we be attractive to them? So we kind of went through that mental exercise, kind of like
Mm-hmm.
looked at the end goal, and then came back and said, okay, what do we need to put in place to get there?
Mm-hmm.
And so kind of created this 2 year roadmap as to what we should be, how we should reposition ourselves. And one of the insights that came into that meeting was that among all of the cohorts of users, these 30 million websites created, the ones that converted the most was a very specific cohort. The ones that complained the least, converted the best, uh, stayed the longest, and those were the small businesses.
Okay.
So that was our aha moment. And we said, look, we need to position ourselves as a SMB platform rather than a generic website creation tool. And guess what? A lot of those dream acquirers, they are doubling down on their SMB digital
Mm-hmm.
strategy. So kind of like those two came together very nicely. And so we spent the next 2 years building relationships with those and telling them, hey, look, we're getting into the SMB space. In fact, these are the metrics we are seeing from our SMB cohorts. What are you guys seeing? So kind of build that
Yeah.
relationship,
Yeah.
shared learnings, and then sort of approach them with, hey, maybe there's a way we can partner together. So kind of dangle those ideas. None of them really materialized into partnership, but what it did was build trust, build familiarity over these
Mm-hmm.
2 years with them. That
Yeah.
when we were about to next raise our next round, we told them, and they started, becoming active and started actively kind of putting bids together for us. Um, y- you know, we had to do acquisitions ourselves because to get within that short time frame to have those our product have the features that SMBs would find attractive, like a CRM tool or social marketing tools, we had to actually acquire companies ourselves. We did that. Those were small acquisitions, but extremely meaningful. And then some of the things we did through strategic partnerships, for instance, our website needed to be mobile compatible. There was a great company out there called Duda. We partnered with them, and they basically enabled the mobile compatibility of the websites created on the platform. Anyhow, to make a long story short, we had to do a lot of work, but it was well worth it, because when we got those multiple interested parties, public and private, that kind of raised our price pretty significantly. We had leverage. And the best leverage, of course, is the fact that we didn't have to sell. So we told them,
Yeah.
hey, look, if you want us to sell, you have to make an offer we can't refuse. You have to stop us in our tracks. And so one party did that.